We are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports. We hope that you guys are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. LSU, as some people tried to, Blake, they didn't announce it. Correct the words. But LSU is the number 5 overall seed in this year's regional. We will talk about that here tonight as they have Oregon State, Sam Houston, and the Green Wave of Tulane. Gonna be a fun regional. Some believe, I guess maybe a lack of education on the subject of these teams. You've played 2 of them. You haven't played a third. Sam Houston is a completely different team that they were so many months ago when you faced them, and you have not seen Oregon State. And by the way, Tulane pulled off an outright miracle like Jesus feeding the 5,000 type of miracle, winning the AAC, and now they are the 4th seed in the Baton Rouge Regional. We'll break it down all tonight. We have a massive week in store for you in reference to multiple people joining us this week as we'll go out to Corvallis. We'll talk a little Tulane. We'll go down to Nolans, and maybe if we're lucky, we'll find somebody that covers Sam Houston State to be on the show with us this week. So a lot of baseball talk. It's exciting. I told you this last week. It is probably, for me, my favorite time of the year. You have the NBA Finals that'll also be on. There's nothing better than regional baseball, super regional baseball in Omaha. And then you're itching your way in as SEC spring meetings start this week. Is the SEC going to stay at 8 conference games, or will they go to 9? We'll talk on that here tonight as well. So massive show in store for you. Welcome for joining us. If it's your first time, don't do us a favor. If you haven't so already, hit that like button, hit the subscribe. If you're on YouTube, if you're following us on Facebook as well, you can follow the page Are You Serious Sports Network. Let's get to a couple comments before we get rolling. I got to give her a shout out, man. Where is it? Let me see if I can find it. I got to give her a shout out. I see she's in the chat. There she is. Tasha the Tiger Thibodeau. She sent your boy some hardware. Let me go get it. She sent your boy some hardware as we have the official Dylan Cruz and Paul Skeens helmet that you can't see this as the studio is almost done. This will be going up. It'll be put in a case. For those listening to us on the audio, I'm sorry, and or radio, it's Dylan Cruz and Paul Skeens signed LSU helmet. So to Tasha the Tiger Thibodeau, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving me something that will last in this family for a lifetime. So it's already put up. We got the case on the way, but if you haven't done so already, go to the Real Tiger Nation or Real LSU Tiger Nation on Facebook, the best group that there is. She says, we love you, Blake. Thanks for all that you do. Thank you so much. Adam B says, that's the sources, eh? Don't forget, I've got a wedding coming up. That would be a very nice gift. Well, here's the thing, sir. Why would I give you a gift if I'm not even invited? The words that you said was, we can't invite Blake because his stanky leg will be, and I'm quoting, too stanky. So, yeah. Didn't even get an invite, man. I didn't even get an invite after all I've done for them. Which is absolutely nothing. But thank you again, Natasha, the Tiger Thibodeau. She is fantastic. Jake Roberts says, y'all don't forget to hit that like button. Absolutely. It helps us with that algorithm if you're on YouTube. Don't forget to hit that like and share. Ryan says, don't write off Christian Little. He's going to have to be ready in order to make a run at Omaha. You're not – I don't think he's technically wrong here. But, man, you just can't say that in public without getting absolutely ripped alive. Andrew Paul's up Martin says, Hurd is a go for Friday that he is. He can put down Tulane the way he's been out there. Exactly. Jake Roberts says, Blake, I got $100 super chat if LSU wins it all. Well, Jake, I will hold you to that as well. Delton, who's in the chat with us, Delton Duce says, I just want to let you all know that Levi was at the games that we lost again. Yes, Levi's in the chat. And I got to admit, Levi, if you go to any games in the regional, super regional, or Omaha, you will be blocked. You will be blocked. Nathan E. says, Blake, you heading to BR this weekend? You already know. You already know. We'll make it out there one day. I don't know which day yet because we're with our company over at Believe. We are doing the post-game regional shows. So 2 p.m. starts LSU versus Tulane on Friday, and we'll go all the way up and do every post-game show. So we'll try to make it out there, though. Brad Wentz says, I really hope Skeens is in the middle of the regional. He will be, like game 2 elimination games instead of the start. He will be in there. Bart Smokey, what's up, bud? Says, look for a higher pitch count from Skeens and Ty Floyd. I don't disagree, but I don't know how much further Paul Skeens will go than 120 pitches that he had a couple of weeks ago. But he's right. I mean, he's not going to get to 80, and Jay already addressed the matter that he would, if Paul Skeens would not have been on a pitch count, but he was on a pitch count in Omaha, around 75 to 80 pitches is what he wanted to attend for him to do. But obviously, Paul Skeens will not come out of that situation. We got to recap Hoover. We have not discussed, you and I have not discussed with one another since the Hoover tournament, since we won against South Carolina. So we'll do that here tonight as well. Some things I did not like, some things I did like, and how that will transition in here to regional play. So let's get this started. Let's get this rolling. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share to all of those social media groups. If you're listening to us on Facebook, we just talked about Tasha's. Do it there. Go show support. Go show some love. Always be in that group. If you're listening to us on YouTube, growing rapidly, when we want to continue to grow, as the road to 10,000 starts today, as the road of Omaha started today for LSU, our road to 10,000 starts here today. Very close to 1,000 subscribers on Rufino and Joe show. We'll quote that show as we did it this morning on this 8 or 9 conference game schedule. I gave you a little sourcing on that. What had been going around, it obviously came to fruition today as Greg Sankey has somewhat confirmed that it's likely to stay at the 8 conference game for SEC football. So continue to hit that like and share, retweet if you're on Twitter. If you're listening to us on radio, wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe as well. We greatly appreciate you doing that. All right, so let's do this. Let's talk about our good friends over at GM Varno & Sons and our good friends over at Bet Online. Stay tuned. We'll be back next. Don't go anywhere because we got a lot to discuss. Oregon State, they're a really tough team. We discuss it next. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. With over 65 years of experience, nobody is better equipped to service in your vehicle than GM Varno & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. If you break down the side of the road in the greater Baton Rouge area, they will come and get you. And the best thing about that is that they can come and get you, and then they can bring your vehicle back to their shop and start the repairs right then. Again, GM Varno & Sons. Go see them over at 2500 Fuller Boulevard. Give them a call at 225-664-9992, 225-664-9992. Tell them your good friend Blake Rufino sent you on by. Trey Patton says, thoughts on the overall field? Well, here's the truth. I was outright surprised that South Carolina was a hosting site and was the top 16. What I also believe, okay, is a lot of people are arguing and moaning and complaining about the RPI. Oh, no, why didn't Campbell become a host region site? Well, they were going to have to rent a AAA ballpark to do so. They couldn't even do it at their own stadium. Another thing with that as well that I want to make very clear, wins and losses aren't created equally when it comes to the SEC. The SEC broke a record having 8 of the 16, so half of the host regional sites. I think they did a fair job. I think, look, I'm going to talk about this. So let's do this. Let's transition here. I'll get to some of these comments in just a minute, but let's start with that, because last night, really and truthfully, you can go down our Twitter, and I tried to send hints. I think that, when it comes to some of the things that we hear in reference to teams that are getting in, I will not put it out there if I'm not pretty damn certain that these teams are going to get in. Last night around, I want to say 7:30 when I started tweeting it started to come out that ULL was going to get in. They're a good team, man. So is Nichols. And I think Louisiana as a whole, all the teams, got some pretty favorable matchups. You don't want all Louisiana teams, or at least I think that I'm pretty sure from what I've heard from talking to people is that they did not want to put all Louisiana teams in one regional and let them battle it out. Maybe Nichols can go to their regional. Maybe ULL can go to their regional in Miami and possibly win the thing. Who knows? Now, can they? Will they? Probably not, but we will see. You never know. It is baseball. I thought that I was really surprised that Columbia was a host site, but UC Irvine, I know a lot of people are playing on that one. I went and looked up UC Irvine. Now, they swept Tulane. They had some decent midweek games that they won. I think they beat South Carolina, USC a couple of times. But you go down that list, they lose a series to Kansas State. They lose a lot of series in their own conference. That's not going to bode well. So you can't lose to really bad teams and get swept by a really bad team and then think that you're going to get in. So I thought that it was overall pretty good. But let's talk about this Baton Rouge regional here for just a minute. So there are two thoughts that I have. Number one, it's a very winnable region. You can get to Omaha with the teams that are selected to play in your regional, but it's not going to be easy. You faced Sam Houston State before. You beat them. You run-ruled them. You play Tulane. You beat them before. Tulane is a team that, quite honestly, maybe shouldn't be in there, but they won their conference tournament. They've looked good. They got hot over the last week, and look what happened to them. Taking down ECU on Sunday to win the championship, they've looked pretty good. They don't have enough to beat anybody, in my opinion, over a couple game stretch. I don't think they can beat anybody in this regional that you have. But Oregon State's in there, and you've had, and we have had, and LSU has had a very long history, if you will, with them. Now, you have not hosted, if you're LSU, you have not hosted a regional since 2019. And it's good. It feels good to get back there, right? Dylan Cruz, it would have been criminal if Dylan Cruz would have never played at Alex Box in a regional. Absolutely criminal. You get Paul Skeens there. But you have a lot of history with Oregon State. You go back to 2017. You go back to 2018, where Oregon State, who won the national title that year, absolutely kicked your ass, right? Beat you down. The best team in college baseball. But you did something in 2017. You got run-rolled in game, not run-rolled, but you got clobbered in game one. And then you beat Oregon State again. You go on to play for a national title, which you do ultimately lose, and I get that. But the history here with Oregon State is something. Last night I tweeted this, again, and I'm going to tell you this. Somebody asked me a question, I think his name was John, and said, Blake, what are you hearing about teams in the region before it was announced? For what it's worth, and you remember this at, 2021, Paul Maneri's last year when LSU got sent out to Oregon, when Oregon was the host site. They love sending Pac-12 teams into the SEC that have had decent seasons. Now, when I look at Oregon State, and I've watched Oregon State multiple times this year, I watched them when they played Arizona in a very wild game in this tournament. They have dudes that can really hit. But I will tell you, they are a lot like what you would expect in reference to they kind of embody a lot of what you do. A lot of dudes are going to come to the plate and going to swing the stick at a high level. Problem is, I don't know if they have the starters or the bullpen that can come in and lock you down if you're LSU for multiple innings in on end. Let me give an example. Jacob Katz is getting hit. The batting average against him is .258. And then Trent Sellers has a batting average against, so guys are hitting .257 off of him. What do you think LSU is going to do to that? So when you look at a team like Oregon State, when you look at a team that had a decent season out west in the Pac-12, you got Travis Bazzana, who's hitting .379. You got Michael McDowell that's hitting .343. And those stats you might overlook them and say, oh, well, this guy has a hot average. But just go look a couple of games. I tweeted that as well. Some games that you can look up and watch them play. They can really hit. They don't hit for a lot of power, but situationally, they do everything well. Defensively, they do a lot of things well. So when I look at them, they're not an easy walkthrough team. They have MLB dudes, but they do not have the firepower that you do. Here's the caveat to that, because we have not talked to each other since I think, was it South Carolina or Thursday or Friday? I forget when our last show was, but we have not talked about what happened in Hoover live and in living person. If you play like you did in some of these games, you're going to struggle. Now, Arkansas, okay, you face the two best left-handed dudes that you're going to see in this entire tournament. But they've pitched 19 innings against you and quite honestly has locked you down. That's the truth. 19 innings, Hunter Holland and Hogan Smith legitimately went out there and shoved. No pause. Okay, I can understand that. You were, I think, if memory serves me correct, you were 2 for 17 with runners in scoring position. You turn right around, though, and play Texas A&M where you go 3 of 20. And Jim Schlossnagle, Texas A&M's head coach, told you what he thinks. The statistics and what I see at LSU when you put a lefty on the mound, I think is the best chance to beat them. Now, later this week, we're going to find out if Oregon State has some left-handed arms that can do some good things. We'll find that out. And we are going to see that. But you have a coach that's been to multiple College World Series, that's forgotten more about baseball than you and I combined. And he told you the formula. Here's the truth. We both went into this SEC tournament thinking, well, the bullpen's got to step up. And you're not wrong, right? You weren't wrong in that take because the bullpen had been suspect. The one thing that I like the most is that you got great performances by guys like Nate Ackenhausen against a team, whether you like it, love it, or hate it, is a regional host site in South Carolina. You got Riley Cooper, who he gives up a hit that scores 2 runs, but after that is completely locked down. Here's something that's interesting. In those 2 games against Arkansas and South Carolina, your bullpen gave up 2 hits and no earned runs on themselves. Now, Cooper gave up the hit, which scored a couple runs, but those runs go on Paul Skeens, not on Riley Cooper. He gave up 1 hit against Arkansas's best hitter. Your bullpen did some really good things. Against Texas A&M, I do not know why Jay went with Sam Dutton, but he did. He did. It backfired completely. So when it comes to Nate Ackenhausen, I think you know what you're going to get. I think that even though Riley Cooper has struggled at times this season, when he's locked in and focused, you can get a really good performance out of Riley Cooper. The problem is when you get past those two dudes, then what? Then what? We talked about this last week. Thatcher Hurd has been really good over the last couple of outings that he's had. The start against South Carolina and the outing he had against Georgia after giving up those 2 home runs. He's been and looks pretty good. I feel that he's going to do a really good job against Tulane. But you cannot be ineffective and hit 136 with runners in scoring position if you're LSU and think you can win a regional, a super regional, or get to Omaha and win the thing. Now, one thing that I feel good about, and I know that you do as well, the likelihood and chances of teams holding down this offense for a long stretch of time is not very likely. There is not a team in your regional that is better than what you saw last week. I don't think Oregon State is better than Texas A&M. I think they give South Carolina a run for their money. They're not better than Arkansas. And then you're paired up with our boys out there in the bluegrass with Kentucky. You have a path to Omaha. Can you seize it? Can you take it? Are there some concerns, some thoughts that you may have about this team right now currently? Yes. There's no other way around it. You got to get guys in with runners in scoring position. And I know, a lot of people were questioning about when Gavin Dugas this past week tried to lay down a bunt with Hayden Travinsky on third base. But the truth was, and I get what Jay was trying to do there, you're not generating runs with runners on base any damn way. Why not try to do something and get some runs in? You are one of the most, if not the most, talented teams in the field. If the game would have gotten to us, if you could have gotten and beaten A&M, you're not losing to Arkansas a second time. You wouldn't have. I don't think Arkansas is the best team in the field. I think they have flaws. Now, they got injuries, but they have flaws. When they have those two lefties going, they are pretty damn locked down. After that, they are not. It's time to put up or shut up, because if you start losing now and those same situations, those same blunders that you have start creeping up, you are going to lose. But here's the positive. I don't think you will. I think you can get through this regional. Let's try to get through it in 3 games. Let's try to get through it in 3 games and get to a supers. Now, later in the week, we'll start talking about who's in Kentucky and in their regional, who you're paired up with. But right now, we need to talk about Oregon State and Sam Houston State. Now, Sam Houston State is a team that you faced this year already, and you put it on them. I think what started the scoring, if memory serves me correctly, is Braden Jobert came up there and hit a ball that really hasn't landed yet, and some believe is on its way to Mars, and Elon Musk couldn't even stop it from getting there. They are a different team. Now, I tweeted this out as well. They beat a team this week to win their conference, the WAC. They were up 21-1. They can hit. Now, the question that you will have in some of this, like if you're just stat stuff and supreming all this, like it's Taco Bell, you're not going to get everything that you need to know about Sam Houston State. But Jay Johnson did have some serious thoughts about Sam Houston State a couple months ago, and I quote, Sam Houston State's a team that's probably going to win their conference. Not only are they going to win their conference, they're probably going to be in a regional, and we might just see them again. Jay Johnson a month and a half ago. 2 months ago, whatever that date is. But I went and listened to his press conference when he talked about Sam Houston State. When they were out there in, what was it, March with the D1 baseball thing. But that is his direct quote. They got guys like Tyler Davis, Joe Redfield, both hitting over 400. Davis has 102 hits. Redfield has 95 hits. The question is who have they been playing? Because I can sit here and look at the teams that they did play, and it's not a laundry list like you will see in the SEC. But the regional always comes down, the super regional always comes down to one thing. We've seen it the last 2 years. What team is hot? What team is hot and has the momentum that can carry them through a regional, that can carry them through a super regional? Ole Miss did it last year. Mississippi State did it before. What team gets hot? You've been on the receiving end of getting beat by teams that are hot. You know, Coastal Carolina comes to mind. Stony Brook comes to mind. You can't take anybody lightly. Oh, and by the way, Tulane's in there as well, who I watched 3 of their games this weekend, and my God, are they playing like their hair is on fire. If a team scores a run, Tulane will come back and they will find a way to answer. Doesn't matter. And ECU, the team that they beat on Sunday, it's not a scrub. If they would have won that, they more than likely and probably could have been a host seed themselves. But they didn't. Going to be interesting to see, man. Going to be really interesting to see. You got some really good regionals out there. We'll find it out. All right. Arthur, we'll get to the permanent opponent thing in just a little while. Bayou Bengal 84 says we really need Christian Little to find it, like it or not. He will be called upon at some point. As scary as that is, I agree with you. He's got to throw strikes, man. He's just got to throw strikes, right? Like, I mean, that's it with him. He's got the stuff. The strikeout showed that he's got stuff. He just can't walk everybody. Chance Babin says Oregon State without Pat Casey as coach is less daunting. Very true, but some would make the argument, so is it around LSU without Skip Bertman. You can't take one of the best coaches of all time and say, "Oh, it's not as tough of a task." You're damn right, it's not as tough of a task. What if Skip was still here skipping? Father Abear says, Blake, why in the world would we be playing at 2 p.m. when it's going to be hotter and we're going to have less fans? You know what's interesting? I've seen a couple of teams going at the early game. I know that Arkansas is going at the early game. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe rest. My thought would be that you play that 2 p.m. game, you get some rest in, and there's no telling what's going to happen between Sam Houston State and Oregon State. Like, can Sam Houston State, with their ace, that being Colton Atkinson, can they do some good things? Now, that dude, I don't know. I mean, both Sam Houston State's, I guess I should say, they're kind of going back and forth, but 2 of their best arms, opponents are hitting 290 off of Stephen Beard, and off of Atkinson, teams are hitting 245 in that conference. We'll see, but they're not a slouch, man. They can really play. They can really hit. They're hot right now. I mean, go look at the picture I posted on Twitter. They really were beating down the fighting Eddie Smiths. Legitimately. But I don't know. Jay will have to explain that. Adam B with a good point that I did not bring up said 17 Ks still make me want to puke. Yeah, you can't strike out 17 times. Now, we did a spaces, and we walked through that. I mean, man, you can't. I think, what was it? Paul's up. Correct me if I'm wrong here. I mean, you struck out 32 times against Hunter Holland and Hagen Smith in two games. You learned nothing. You know what Arkansas did learn? They learned what they needed to do on Paul Skeens. And my boy was out there throwing like they were reporting that Paul Skeens his fastball was up to 103 miles an hour, y'all. And they didn't do anything impressive. They had one good inning. And you couldn't capitalize in the other 8. It's just the truth. Which, that is a little scary. Can this team battle back? Now, you're never out of a game with this lineup. And one thing that we have not talked about is Tommy Tanks. I'm going to be reserved here. Jay said he's going to be here this weekend. Fine by me. He didn't go in Hoover. Maybe he did need a day of rest. Let's get after it. Dylan Cruz, Tommy Tanks, Paul Skeens, Ty Floyd, Trey Morgan, Cade Beloso, Hayden Travinsky. Some of these guys that either are the faces of your program or guys that have been here the longest. It's time to step up and get going. I know that you want it bad. Trey Morgan talked about that today. I don't want to be crying at a regional or super regional and not going somewhere. Let's go take it. There you go. Let's go take it to them. Because, guys, you're okay. It's time to flip that switch. It's time to flip on that postseason switch. You know who turned theirs on? Vanderbilt. Vandy. Now, just because you don't win your conference tournament doesn't really mean a whole lot. But you want to go out there and win. Bart Smokey says Skip always played earlier games because of rest. There you go. And I'm not going to disagree with Skip. Who am I to disagree with Skip? Paul's Up says 32 is the magic number. Yeah, you can't do that, man. You cannot strike out that much and think that you're going to do great things here, okay? You just – that cannot happen. It cannot happen. So, for whatever it's worth – stinks, man. It stinks. Because, let me get to this. Because in that Lexington regional, now we'll talk about this. We'll talk about this later this week. In that Kentucky regional, you have Ball State, Indiana, West Virginia. Now, I agree with Holden Lee in here, and he's right. West Virginia is not a team that you want to see right now because they're scrappy as hell. When I watch one of their games, they have a lefty, I think, that was throwing 92, 93, 94 miles an hour. Got a very difficult slider. So, and I can't remember that kid's name. Maybe I should have written that down. Jake Roberts says it comes down to Cruz and Morgan getting going. Yeah, you gotta get going, man. You gotta get going. You gotta get moving. And I don't think that anybody here's the truth. If LSU doesn't, I'm gonna make this a thing. And I know that there's gonna be baseball people that are gonna rip me alive about this. If LSU does not make it out of this regional, it has everything to do with what they didn't do, meaning no team in this regional is better than you. They don't have more talent. Quite honestly, I don't think they have better coaching. I truly mean that. I truly feel that. You have Jay is fantastic. And if there's a team or a guy that knows how Pac-12 baseball's played, knows how Oregon State wants to attack a lineup that and a team that he's coaching, he's going to know. He will know. I feel like Jay will know a little bit more about Oregon State than maybe what Oregon State will feel that they know about LSU. I mean, God's been in that conference, man. He's been in that conference. He's got a lot of contacts. He can pick up the phone and call anybody in that conference right now and say, what did you do? What worked on them? And hell, they might not even get to you. Who knows? Who knows? But you got to go take it to Tulane first. I think that you will, but you never know with a hot team, man. You never know with a hot team. Brad says, who is that? Jake from State Farm. I don't know what that means. Kevin Dunn says, we took a lot of grooved fastballs versus A&M in Arkansas. Those lefties at Arkansas broke you off with that slider. All up in your ass. No pause, Pooh. No pause. No pause. Zero. Zilch. Nada. All right, a couple more, then we'll start transitioning. I saw this a couple times. Matthew Daigle brings it in here, though. I see it now. Who do you think we pitch on Friday? I don't see a scenario for myself where you don't go Thatcher Hurd against Tulane. I mean, who else would you go? Coleman? Yeah. And let me see. Now, this is going to take a just bear with me. Bear with me. So I'm going to get to this because I saw this. I looked this up earlier today just to kind of refresh my memory. I went back and watched the game as well, but want to rehash this. So LSU, if you remember, against Tulane, obviously beat them 7-5. But you look in this box score, okay? Thatcher Hurd did not go in that game. He is not. They have not seen you or seen him. They have not seen him. So there's that. Or maybe he did. Maybe I'm missing something. Oh, wait, here it is. Yeah, he did go. 1 inning in the ninth. He had a base on balls, 2 strikeouts, 2 wild pitches, 3 at-bats. In that game, Christian Little started, walked 2 guys, gave up no earned run, or gave up an earned run. Blake Money gave up 2 earned runs. Bryce Collins threw 2 2/3 innings, was pretty shutout in that game. So they've seen him. Sam Dutton, which I don't think you're going to have a lead on a team to bring him back in my opinion. Riley Cooper went a 1 inning, and Thatcher Hurd went an inning. And you saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 pitchers from Tulane. Now, Grant Clevenger is a guy for Tulane that I think you will see early because that dude really had a massive week. Massive week. But I do think you go Thatcher Hurd. Brad says, Blake, just a joke when you were talking with Matt Trent last week. What did we say? Hakeem Baptiste says, as good a hitting team as LSU is, they can't knock in runners. Well, they couldn't knock in runners this weekend. I mean, you still have a guy with over 90 RBIs, but I agree with you to some extent. They leave too many guys on base. Well, when you take a lot of pitches and you walk a lot, you are going to be suspect to leaving a lot of guys on base. But I will agree with you on this. They cannot do what they did in Hoover or they will get beat. Right? Like they will get beat. So, you just can't do that. You just cannot do that. I mean, if you want to look at Sam Houston, the other team in your regional that you played, you won 16-4. You had a massive game. Chase Shores, who's no longer with us, not like that, but he's hurt. Him and Garrett Edwards really delivered. Garrett Edwards got the win, throwing 3 1/3 inning. Griffin Harry, who's also not with us, had an inning and 1/3 inning, and Blake Money pitched. So they have not seen any of your arms that will go this weekend. But I do think you go with Hurd. Paul Sub Martin says, Hurd starts, follow with Nate Ackenhausen. Tulane has not seen him yet. That's true. Guys, listen, you cannot worry about what would happen in a game 4 scenario. You got to attack it now. Everybody, listen, outside of maybe a Paul Skeens and Ty Floyd, maybe even a Paul Skeens, everybody's on deck. Really and truthfully, the only guy that it will not go out there, I obviously feel, is Paul Skeens and Ty Floyd. But even if you have to ask Paul to go an inning for you because it means that you need to win. I think that they do it. I think that he'd do it because Jay wants to get out of this damn regional. You know that, and I know that. So we'll see. But if you were down to an elimination type of scenario, all hands on deck, man. All hands on deck. Now, would he throw Skeens? I don't know that. I mean, if he threw 120 pitches on a Friday, okay, but you might not even have to go to the bullpen if Skeens is in there. But I don't think he'd lock down Oregon State like that. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. Stephen Pearlou says, I think Blake Money is still solid out of the bullpen. You're going to need him for sure. Justin Wells says, I'd be okay with Floyd starting Friday too. I don't like that. I don't like Ty Floyd starting on Friday at all. Not even remotely close. You really can't go wrong with him or her. I think that you can. We talked about this. We talked about this the other night. Let me throw this out here about Ty Floyd. I might need to clip this at the end of the show. I definitely will clip and put it on YouTube. But interesting, there's something interesting about Ty Floyd that we're not talking about. Let me go through this. So Ty Floyd this year, people are hitting 166 off of Paul Skeens. Guys, teams are hitting 195 off of Ty Floyd. Ty Floyd is 7-0 on the year. He's got 15 appearances and 13 starts. He has a 4.4 ERA. That literally is better than both guys that you will see at Oregon State. Sellers being one that has a 5.13 ERA. Jacob Katz, I guess. Nats, maybe. I don't know how you pronounce his last name. He has a 4.71 ERA in 72 innings. Ty Floyd has 71 and 2/3 innings and has a 4.40 ERA in the SEC. You gotta hold on to Ty Floyd for game 3. He's got to go game 3. There's no other way to put it. There's no other way to put it. Matthew says, why wouldn't you pitch Paul Friday? Just a question. Because I don't mean this in the wrong way. You're not going to pitch Paul Skeens against Tulane when you got Oregon State coming up next. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's going to be the same thing that you saw in Hoover with I think that you're going to see the same lineup pitching-wise as what you saw in Hoover. I think that they got their cadence. I think they got a way that they want to attack their cadence in reference to that bullpen. That's how I feel. Maybe Jay sees something else. Maybe he thinks something different. It's just really hard for me to not see Thatcher Hurd going on Friday. And then Paul Skeens right behind him. Okay. We do need a transition because we got to talk about this 8 and 9 game. So don't leave and don't go anywhere because there's some big news coming out of SEC spring meetings. Is LSU about to play 8 or 9 conference games? Looks like you're staying at 8. We talked about that on the Rufino and Joe show this morning. I'm going to recap a little bit about that, and we'll touch on that as well. And then we'll talk some more baseball, and you can fire in your questions. But let's talk about our good friend Carol Falls over at State Farm and our good friends over at the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Don't go anywhere. Back soon. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. By the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Whether you've been injured in an accident, you're preparing for a future with your estate planning, you're getting ready to close in on a real estate deal, or you're about to welcome a new addition through adoption into your family, or you're facing criminal charges, you need very experienced attorneys, and that is what the Drake Williams Law Firm will be able to do for you in navigating the legal system. The door to their cozy office in historic downtown Ponchatoula has been open since 1981. They have helped thousands and thousands of Louisiana families and individuals win cases, close on real estate deals, and regain that peace of mind. Their lawyers over at the Drake Williams Law Firm, Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, are very determined, compassionate, and dedicated to their craft. It's the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. Tell them your good friend Blake Rufino at AYS sent you on by. So in case you missed it, because And I know I mentioned this earlier today, which made me think why I didn't mention it earlier in today's show. Today is Memorial Day, and we are, I never want to say like Happy Memorial Day, but it's a time that we reflect and remember those who have laid down their lives for our country, whether we like it, love it, or hate it. It is a free country. And for all those who serve and put their lives on the line, thank you. And all of those who have given literally the ultimate sacrifice for our country. Didn't matter where you were from, what religion you were, and what skin color. We as a country fight for freedom, or we are supposed to. I think we forgot about that a long time ago, though. I do feel like we have forgot about that a long, long time ago. Freedom comes at a price, and normally the currency is red. Thank you to all of those who served. So, in case you missed it, I know it's Memorial Day, but SEC spring meetings are underway here this week down in 30A, down there in Destin. All the SEC coaches, head coaches will be there, and Greg Sankey met with the media, shared some thoughts. One of them, and probably the biggest thing that will be discussed this week, is 8 games in conference or 9 games. Now, let me tell you where I'm at. Let me tell you where I stand. I don't mind nine conference games. Don't mind it. Don't mind it at all. As a player, you want to go and be able to experience playing every team in your conference. Texas, Oklahoma, doesn't matter. You want to play every school in your conference, every team in your conference. It's really crappy that we've had Missouri and the SEC for over a decade, and LSU's only going up to Como to play once. Now, the only reason you played in Como was because of a hurricane. What was it, Matthew, I think, that was coming through, and you had to move the game from Baton Rouge up there to Como. It's no business, and you only play Missouri once in their home stadium, and a natural disaster was the reason that it happened. Now, you'll have that luxury here, I think, this year, playing Missouri again. But here's also a thought that I had, and I talked about this morning. I don't think that Saban wants it, and I think Saban's going to get what he wants. I know Brian Kelly has said he does not care if LSU plays 8 conference games or 9 conference games. Doesn't matter to him, but it wouldn't be anything different from him because he usually played 9 to 10 Power 5 opponents every year when he was at Notre Dame. What's the strategic part of it, though? Why is it unlikely that the SEC is not going to 9 conference games and want to stay at 8? Well, here's my opinion. I mean, other than some of the things that we had heard and we had talked about on this platform and we had talked about there on the Ruffino and Joe show this morning, go sub there if you haven't done so already, if you're on YouTube. The bottom line is I think that they don't want to beat each other up more than what they have to. Now, whether it's fair, fun, it doesn't matter. It's not what they want to do. They're literally saying as much. Now, Greg Sankey was asked what opinion does he have on 8 or 9 game conference scheduling, and he said, I'm not going to tell you what I told all the coaches in that room. But clearly, if it is not passing to go to 9, Saban and what would seem Mark Stoops from Kentucky, they do not want to go to 9. Now, you can say, well, Saban's scared. You can say, Saban just wants the easiest path. I don't really think that that's true. What I think is true is Saban did it in a year when he played 10 conference games. Doesn't bother him in the slightest. What I also think Saban knows is that this is the toughest conference in the country, and adding a team that does, even though I joke on them all the time, in Texas that recruits well and Oklahoma that recruits well as well, You could be in a scenario within a month. You could play Texas and LSU and Auburn. If they get right, that's still a tough game for like Alabama. Tennessee is kind of on the come up. So in a month, you could play those 4 teams and easily could lose 2 of them. Go 2-2 in the month of November. That's why they don't want to go to 9 conference games. They want that rest and recovery game at the end of the year when you're playing Austin Peay before the Iron Bowl. That's what they want. LSU has it against Army, who I don't know if that's really a tune-up game. I mean, a team running the triple option doesn't sound fun to me at all. Nevertheless, they have good reasoning that they believe to go to 8. The problem with it is you want to see more good football, and I agree with you. Here's my thought, though. I know everybody keeps talking about these 3 permanent opponents that each team's going to have. Doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, though, of doing 3 permanent opponents and 5 rotating, because you were trying to get to somewhat of a pod system, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, I don't care either which way, but just a thought here. I don't know if they're going to do this at all, but kind of seems a little likely. Are they going to split the conference right down the middle and say this is the East and this is the West? Now, I don't think that they will do that, and I think they have a somewhat of a pretty good idea of what they're going to do if they don't already know. But could you imagine Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, and Florida and Tennessee in the East, and LSU, Tennessee, LSU, Texas, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, all in the other? Would be a pretty interesting conference. Not only would it be interesting, it'd be pretty damn good divisions. Now, if you want to rework it to put Alabama and Auburn into the West, doesn't bother me. I don't care about playing a team that I'm 2-2 against the last 4 years in football. The bottom line is it feels like the SEC wants a lesser path. But as we wrap this up, and just my opinion, they're not wrong. We can want better games. We can want you to play, be able to have Oklahoma to come into LSU. I get that. I'm with you. I'm 1,000% with you. Here's the truth. Games are not ever created equally in the SEC. It's why I said last year at the end of football season, I didn't think that there was any business that TCU should have gotten in there. They didn't win their conference. They did not win their conference. TCU's schedule is not the same, or really and truthfully, Ohio State's schedule is not the same as what you see every single week in the SEC. It's just not. Draft picks, recruiting, all that bears witness. You can have 9 conference games. Sounds good to us. But for the time being, I get what they're doing. It's an easier path in a conference that's always going to give you hell every week. Every week. Think about this. Think about this for just a minute. Football schedule. Let me pull this up so I don't miss games, or I don't put ones that are in order. Think about this. Okay? You have Arkansas. Yeah, I agree with you. You can win that one. You probably are. You go to Ole Miss. Yeah, they're still a tough team. I think you can win that one. Missouri. Okay. Even though I'm a little higher on Missouri than maybe you are, I think Blake Baker, who was obviously the linebackers coach at LSU, is really good. They returned top 5 returning production, and not just the conference, but the entire country. You got to go to Como, a place that you lost before. Auburn, Army, Alabama, Florida, Georgia State, Texas A&M. That's how the scheduling they want to keep it. Now, could you imagine this? Because LSU has Army and Georgia State in a month's span. In 4 games, and in about a month span, they have 2 teams that are G5 or independent. What if that Georgia State game on November 18th, you got to play Texas? They, for whatever it's worth, don't want that. It is what it is, man. You can like it, love it, or hate it, but it's not created equally. All right, let's get to a couple comments before we start transitioning out of here. Penn Jones says, Blake, tie for remembering those who thank you. Blake, thank you for remembering those who laid down their lives for our freedom. Yeah, man. No doubt. Swamp Donkey says, what you did for Memorial Day, Blake? Not a whole lot. I have a video here. I can show y'all. Hold on. If you're listening to us on radio or podcast, it really stinks for you, but I don't feel bad because I'm about to show you a video that doesn't really mean anything. I know it's probably tough to see, but look at Ben Ruffino right here swinging the stick. Brian Kelly's in trouble, man. Line drives. My man is smashing baseballs right now. Ben Ruffino is Brian Kelly's worst nightmare because the man needs to be a left tackle, but he's looking like Jared Jones. My man's crushing the baseball. Ask Matt Trent. Mashing the ball. And by the way, it warms my heart to death that my man loves baseball. Ben loves him some baseball, man. And look, for what it's worth, Megan and I do not force him. He was asked, hey, they're doing soccer at your school. I want to play. Sounds good. Not forcing him at all. My man wants to do it. The other night, we stayed up for an hour after the show with a wiffle ball and a wiffle bat, or what do you call one of those? Like a squeezy ball. It's like not going to hurt you. I mean, it's really light. And then another cloth baseball. And my man literally sat there and hit for an hour. Got mad when I was like, all right, buddy, we're done. My dude was furious at me. You hear me? So, yeah. Bart Smokey says if we stay at 8, which they've kind of announced already that we are, do we have one permanent opponent team? I don't know, man. Bart, I wish I could tell you. I don't know. What makes sense to me, okay, this is what makes sense to me, is if you have 8 teams on one side, 8 teams on another. Just hear me out here. So you have 16 total teams, okay? You have 7 conference games in a division already, right? Like, you're one of the 8 teams. If you just split the teams down the middle geographically, you would just have 7 permanent opponents and one from the other conference that I guess is maybe your other opponent, maybe. I don't know how they're doing this, but this pod system doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Because Alabama does not have the same permanent opponents as LSU does. I don't know how they're going to do it, man. I really don't know. I really don't know. Makes no sense to me. Paul's Up says, then this makes expansion pointless, and even bigger cluster F on a scheduling issue. Well, I mean, it's what they're announcing. I mean, go look at what Ross Dellinger said. I mean, they're staying at 8. And I don't disagree with Paul's Hub here. Like, right? Like, I do not disagree with Paul's Hub whatsoever. I mean, he is right. He is right, man. I mean, there's nothing wrong in what he said. Nothing. Because what does it mean at that point? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I mean, what do I know? I'm just a dude here. I'm just a dude here. What do I know? I know nothing. All right. Let me get to this. All right. Let's see here. Dane Bergeron says, Blake, glad Ben loves baseball. My oldest grandson is on the Georgia State 10U team. Okay, Myrtle Beach in July, so you know where I will be then. I love that, Dane. I love that, man. I freaking love that. Yeah, my nephew Cooper, he's in Georgia there too. They're in shit. Where are they at? But Dane, they're in Georgia too. They're outside Atlanta. Not Canton. I forget. I'd have to go look at it. Every time I why can I not think about where they are? But they're in the greater Atlanta area. Ryan says next year's LSU schedule to play 2 Power 5 schools with UCLA and USC. Well, it'd be like playing 9 conference games. It'd be like playing 9, man. I mean, but you don't have, if you're LSU, so we just talked about this. Look, you do not have a difficult schedule down the stretch if you're LSU. You just don't. In a month span, you have Army and Georgia Southern, 2 teams that you should beat. You got Alabama in there as well. Now you got Texas A&M later in the month. Okay, cool. But for what it's worth, the SEC does not want to go those 9 games in conference. And strategically, it is better for a school in the SEC to finish and have as many teams to get to 8 and 9 wins as possible. It is what it is. And Greg Sankey is saying that he's letting coaches battle it out on what they want to do, and good on him. It's not his decision. It's what makes Sankey the best commissioner in college athletics. He lets the coaches decide what they should do because they're in the trenches. And I will tell you, like the TV series on HBO, I hope you watched this last night, in Succession. Look, man, power moves are being made by Saban. The difference between Nick Saban and Kendall Roy is he can actually close the deal. Which, by the way, Tom Wom scams. Wow. Spoiler alert. Yes. Ryan brings up a good point. More bowl bids mean more money. Here's another thing that we have not touched on. Now, this is an ultimate opinion too. And I've said this before, but I hadn't said it tonight. The reason that the conference is staying at 9 games, for me, not only is it more bids for bowl games, but let's talk about the bigger point here. Let's talk about the bigger fish. The playoff is expanding. Could there be a situation where a 10-2 LSU could have done that last year, 10-2 Tennessee, saw it this past year, 10-2 Alabama, they don't want to add that extra conference game to make those teams not get to double digits. It is what it is. It has nothing to do with safety. It has nothing to do with going around the conference and playing everybody you can. It simply comes down to how many teams can we get in that playoff. When ADs and head coaches meet, Saban can look across the room and say, hey, Lane, here's the truth, bud. You talk about not being able to get some of these kids in recruiting because of this situation or that situation. What if you played 8 conference games instead of 9 and you won 10 games like you did a couple seasons ago? And now with the expanded playoff, by the way, Lane Kiffin, you're in. You're in, bud. 12 teams in this playoff. Hey, Kirby, you want to take a little pressure off of us? Just a little bit? Hey, man, you could lose the championship game. You're in the playoff. Oh, by the way, instead of playing the schedule that you're already been playing, now you don't have to add LSU or me at the end of the year, and we can both get there and make the playoff. That's what's being said. You can call me crazy all you want to. That is being said. You cannot convince me otherwise. There's no reasoning other than strategically how it's going down. No, they're not far from Kennesaw, Lucy, but they're not in Kennesaw. All right. Great show, man. Good to be back. A lot of people in the in the chats tonight. I love it. All right. We'll see y'all tomorrow. We're going to be guesting it up. Maybe go out to Oregon State. Who knows? We'll see. Till then, we'll see y'all soon. Peace out, Girl Scouts.